Thank you to the chairman and ranking member and to the regulators for appearing before the committee. I want to start by saying the work that was done to address the Silicon Valley and Signature Bank collapse and ensure the health and resiliency of the U.S. banking system is vital. And I want to commend those that were involved in the swift action and the decisive steps that were taken to protect businesses' payroll, particularly small businesses and their employees who we heard from at that time. Now, while depositors were protected, shareholders and bondholders need to bear the cost for any potential mismanagement. And I'm eagerly awaiting the full examination of these bank reviews and the upcoming reports that you will be providing. Now, while the collapse of the Silicon Valley and Signature Bank may have occurred due to unique and isolated factors, the panic that their failures caused quickly became a private or a sector-wide issue. And I'm glad to say that the original crisis of confidence was subsided and cooler heads did prevail. I fear that the consequences will continue to materialize as we go on. For example, consolidation of deposits within the largest systemically important banks will only continue if the sense of risk within the financial system persists. Uninsured depositors are leaving our mid-sized banks because they feel that their money is safer elsewhere, even as these banks showed continued strength and sound financial footing. Deposit insurance is crucial for many of my constituents to get a sense of peace of mind, and we cannot have the perception of a two-tiered banking system in this country where only the largest banks are protected. So, Chairman Grunberg, as we look to increase confidence in the banking system with a particular focus on small and medium banks, how would an increase in the FDIC insurance limit prevent further consolidation of deposits at the largest banks?
Well, I think, Congressman, I think that question is raised by this episode. The decision to guarantee the uninsured deposits of these two institutions really have implications for the entire deposit insurance system, and we need to consider it. And I'd like to do it comprehensively, looking at all the aspects of our deposit insurance regime, and then come back by May 1 with a report that the FDIC will put out, which will also provide some policy options for consideration.
All right, one other area that I'm concerned about, I've already heard multiple development projects, particularly housing projects in my district that are struggling to get financing due to a pull back of credit from community banks. While I understand the need to review capital requirements, I think you'd agree, Vice Chair Barr, that no bank can meet $40 billion plus in depositor demands from capital alone. So, Vice Chair Barr, I would really urge you to consider the effects of increased capital requirements on the lending of healthy community banks. However, I do believe that action must be taken. So, would you be able to discuss any additional strategies the Fed would be able to pursue to address the problems that we have seen at Silicon Valley and Signature Banks without reducing credit industry-wide?
Thank you very much. First of all, the capital review that we're doing does not apply to community banks. We're not intending to increase capital requirements on community banks. My understanding from looking at the community banking system is that it is well capitalized and stable and is serving its communities. We are looking at larger institutions. If we do that, we're going to do it through a notice and comment rulemaking process. That takes a good bit of time, and there are transition rules. So we're not talking about capital rules that in any way that would apply now. We're talking about how to make sure that the capital and liquidity rules in the future are appropriate.
Okay. And then finally, there were reports that after Silicon Valley went into receivership, they literally advertised that their FDIC guarantee as a way to attract depositors. Is that true? And if so, what's being done? They cannot now benefit from the policy after we helped save them.
That's a fair question, Congressman. We placed Silicon Valley into a bridge institution. There may have been some communications of the kind you described. When we heard about it, we put an end to it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.